As you age, 3 habits to leave behind for a peaceful life. As we age, the pursuit of peace and joy often becomes more significant than ever before. For many, this journey involves letting go of things, regrets, relationships, and resentment that weigh us down. The golden years are meant to be a time of reflection, contentment, and growth. But, like many, you might find that certain habits and thought patterns prevent you from truly enjoying this time in your life. In this article, we'll delve into 3 critical habits that older adults often carry with them: regrets from the past, unnecessary relationships, and deep-seated resentment, and how letting go of these can help you embrace a more peaceful, fulfilling life. By freeing yourself from these burdens, you can create space for clarity, joy, and deeper connections. It's never too late to transform your life. Let's explore how you can start today. 1. Let go of regrets of the past. Regret is like an anchor tied to your past. It's that feeling that pulls you backward, preventing you from moving forward with your life. For older adults, the past is often filled with decisions that we feel could have been better, careers we didn't pursue, relationships we didn't nurture, or opportunities we let slip by. It's easy to get caught in the what-ifs, the mind games that replay missed chances and imagine perfect scenarios. But here's the uncomfortable truth: you can't change the past. No matter how much energy you invest in replaying those moments, nothing will shift. The more you focus on what went wrong, the more you rob yourself of the beauty of the present. You're carrying around this heavy baggage, when, in reality, what you need is a lighter load to walk forward with purpose. The power of reframing regret. The first step in freeing yourself from regret is reframing it. It's about transforming regret from a source of pain into a tool for growth. Every single regret, no matter how small or large, tells the story of your humanity. It shows that you cared, that you tried, and that you dared to live fully. even if the outcome wasn't what you hoped for. The effort you put in matters. Take a moment to consider this. Have you ever learned a life-changing lesson from a mistake or failure? Most people have. Regret, in its purest form, is simply a reflection of you striving for something more. Even if the path was imperfect, instead of seeing it as a weight, look at it as a stepping stone toward becoming the person you are today. Each regret carries a lesson about resilience, patience, or even forgiveness that you can use to shape the next chapter of your life. Practical steps to let go of regret. To release the grip of regret. Consider the following. Acknowledge it. The first step is accepting that regret exists. Sitting with it can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Acknowledge the hurt, the mistakes, and the disappointments. Don't run from the feelings, embrace them with compassion. But remember, accepting regret does not mean living in it forever. The past is unchangeable, but how you carry it forward is entirely up to you. Reflect on the lesson. When you experience regret, pause and ask yourself, what did this experience teach me? Instead of focusing on the negative aspects, search for the wisdom you gained from it. Whether it's a career choice that didn't work out or a relationship that faded, there's a lesson buried in there that helped shape who you are. When you start to see regrets as a form of growth, they lose their power to hold you back. Example, take the case of John, a man in his 70s who spent much of his life regretting a missed opportunity to start his own business. At first, he would often replay the decision in his mind, thinking of what might have been. But over time, he reframed it. He realized that his failure had taught him invaluable lessons about perseverance, patience, and the importance of balancing ambition with family life. Now, John sees his career path as one of continuous growth, not a road marked by regret. Focus on the present. The past can only hold power if you let it. The truth is, the past is already gone. But the present is a gift. Ask yourself, What can I do right now that will bring joy or fulfillment into my life? Maybe it's calling a loved one, starting a new hobby, or making peace with your past decisions. The actions you take today shape the future, not the mistakes of yesterday. When you shift your attention to the present, you free yourself from the weight of regret. Letting go brings clarity. Letting go of regret allows you to live with a clearer mind and a lighter heart. It's like opening a window to fresh air after years of feeling trapped. You no longer define yourself by past mistakes, but by the strength it took to move on, learn, and evolve. Regret, when properly reframed, becomes less about what you lost and more about what you've gained: wisdom, growth, and resilience. Imagine walking through life carrying the lessons you've learned, but leaving the pain and burden behind. It's not that the past didn't matter, it did, but it's time to stop letting it shape your every move. As you release the grip of regret, you make room for joy, clarity, and peace in your life. You create space to connect with the present, to appreciate the journey, and to find beauty in every step you take. Remember, the most beautiful part of your story is not the chapters that have already been written, but the ones you're still in the process of creating. When you let go of regret, you step into a life of freedom, free from the weight of the past, and free to embrace a future filled with possibility. 2. Let go of pointless relationships. As you age, your perspective on relationships often undergoes a profound shift. The carefree days of broad social circles and acquaintances are replaced with a deeper understanding of who truly brings value into your life. The people who nourish your soul, challenge you to be better, and celebrate your existence are the ones worth holding on to. On the other hand, relationships that drain you, cause you stress, or leave you feeling unseen only serve to rob you of your peace. The temptation to hold on to toxic relationships, whether out of guilt, fear of loneliness, or the belief that you owe someone your time, can be overwhelming. But here's the truth, not every relationship deserves a permanent place in your life. And it's okay to let go of those that no longer contribute positively to your well-being. The importance of healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are the foundation of a fulfilling life. They should lift you up, bring joy into your days, and make you feel seen and heard. If you consistently leave interactions feeling drained, frustrated, or unappreciated, it might be time to reassess the dynamics of those connections. Relationships are meant to enrich, not deplete. Imagine tending to a garden. If you let weeds grow unchecked, they will overtake the flowers and plants that truly matter, choking out the life that could thrive in that space. The same principle applies to your social life. You must cultivate the right relationships and remove the ones that are no longer serving you. One key factor in understanding whether a relationship is worth maintaining is the emotional energy exchange. Think of it as a balance scale. Do the interactions with this person leave you feeling lighter? Or do they tip the scale towards exhaustion and negativity? If the scale tips towards the latter, it may be time to let go. How to assess your relationships. Identify the positive connections. Start by looking at the relationships that bring out the best in you. Who inspires you? Who makes you laugh in times of struggle? Who celebrates your victories, no matter how small? These are the people who should occupy the majority of your emotional space. They are the ones who genuinely contribute to your sense of well-being and happiness. For example, think of a long-time friend who constantly encourages you to pursue your passions, or a partner who is your biggest supporter. These are relationships worth nurturing. Release the negative ones. This is perhaps the most challenging step. Letting go doesn't mean you harbor resentment or anger. It means choosing peace and balance in your life. It's okay to step back from relationships that have become emotionally taxing, manipulative, or toxic. Maybe it's a family member who always criticizes your choices, or a friend who only reaches out when they need something. These types of relationships may have served a purpose at some point. But if they now leave you feeling drained or unsupported, it's time to release them. Example, take Sarah. A woman in her 60s who spent years maintaining a friendship with someone who was emotionally exhausting. Every conversation left Sarah feeling down, as her friend often complained about her life without offering any positive or supportive energy. After some reflection, Sarah realized that this friendship had become more of an emotional burden than a joy. She slowly distanced herself, and though it was difficult at first, she found that the space allowed her to reconnect with other friends who brought positivity into her life. Sarah's decision to let go didn't come from a place of hatred, but from a deep understanding that she deserves to be surrounded by people who make her feel valued. Nurture meaningful connections. Once you let go of draining relationships, you create room for those that truly matter. Surround yourself with people who respect you, celebrate you, and encourage you to be the best version of yourself. These relationships are the ones that make life richer and more fulfilling. Think of these connections as investments. They offer mutual support, joy, and growth. Nurture these relationships by making time for them, showing appreciation, and being there for each other when needed. Example, John, in his late 70s, decided to dedicate more time to his daughter and his close circle of friends. He realized that his relationship with a distant relative had become a one-sided affair, with him always offering support without receiving anything in return. By shifting his focus, John not only improved his relationship with his daughter but also found a new circle of friends who shared his interests in gardening and hiking. The difference in his life was palpable. He felt more connected and alive. The freedom of letting go. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve you isn't about abandoning people or burning bridges. It's about reclaiming your energy, peace, and happiness. It's not easy to cut ties, especially with people you've known for a long time. But sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the most profound freedom. You are worthy of relationships that inspire you, that offer support without draining you, and that respect your time and energy. As you release the negativity from your social circle, you open up space for growth, love, and deeper connections. You give yourself permission to walk away from the emotional baggage and choose relationships that help you feel whole. Remember, quality over quantity. You don't need a large circle of friends. What matters most is the depth of those connections. When you surround yourself with people who uplift and energize you, life becomes a more meaningful journey. In the end, choosing to let go of pointless or toxic relationships is an act of self-care. It's a declaration that you deserve peace, joy, and authenticity in your interactions. And when you prioritize the right relationships, you make room for a life that is truly worth living, one that is filled with love, support, and meaningful connection. 3. Let go of resentment. Resentment is like a quiet poison. It creeps into your heart, and before you know it, it's stolen your joy, your peace, and even your health. Whether you're holding on to anger towards someone else or even yourself, resentment has a way of quietly accumulating, taking up space in your mind, and weighing heavily on your body. Over time, it can turn into a burden so great that it prevents you from fully engaging in the present moment. What many fail to realize is that resentment doesn't just hurt the person you're angry at. It harms you more than anyone else. In fact, resentment is often one of the root causes of chronic stress, anxiety, and physical ailments. Your body remembers every grudge you carry. The muscle tension, the sleepless nights, the constant rumination, it all manifests physically. And yet, the act of forgiving can release this weight, allowing you to walk lighter and freer. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook for their actions or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's not a free pass for the person who wronged you, nor is it a sign of weakness. Instead, forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. It's a decision to stop letting the past control your present. It's about choosing emotional freedom. Choosing to release the grip that resentment has over your heart. When you forgive, you reclaim your peace. It doesn't mean you erase the pain or forget the harm that was done. But it does mean you let go of the emotional weight that you carry. You begin to live more fully, without the chains of bitterness holding you back. You allow yourself the space to heal. How to start letting go of resentment. Acknowledge the pain. The first step to letting go of resentment is acknowledging the hurt you've experienced. Don't minimize it or suppress it. Let yourself feel the anger, the disappointment, or the sorrow. Sometimes, in our desire to appear strong or move forward quickly, we bypass this crucial step. But true healing can only begin when we honor the feelings that arise. Example, Sarah, a woman in her 70s, carried the weight of a strained relationship with her brother for years. Every time they spoke, old grievances resurfaced. One day, Sarah realized that avoiding the pain was only prolonging her misery. She gave herself permission to feel the hurt of their past and recognized how much it had been affecting her health and happiness. By acknowledging it, she was finally able to start releasing it. Choose to forgive. Forgiveness is a choice. It's not something that happens automatically or easily. But it's always within your power. Choosing to forgive is a conscious decision to free yourself from the emotional prison resentment locks you in. It might take time. Some wounds take longer to heal. But each small step you take in choosing forgiveness is a step towards reclaiming your life. The moment you decide to let go of that heavy emotional baggage, you create space for lighter, more joyful experiences. Think of it like choosing to drop a heavy stone you've been carrying around. Each time you let go of a little resentment, you're setting yourself free. Example, John, a man in his 80s, had carried resentment toward an old friend for decades. He had never forgiven his friend for a betrayal that left him heartbroken. It wasn't until his health began to deteriorate that John realized how much this anger was taking a toll on his well-being. His blood pressure was high, and he felt anxious and tense most days. After much internal struggle, John chose to forgive his friend, not because the friend deserved it, but because he deserved peace. He didn't forget, but he decided to stop letting anger dictate his life. Over time, John felt a remarkable shift in his energy. He felt lighter, both mentally and physically. Reframe the story. Resentment often keeps us trapped in the past, replaying the story of what happened over and over. But when you hold on to this narrative, it keeps you stuck. Instead, try to reframe the story. Don't see the hurt as a scar, see it as a symbol of your resilience. Instead of letting the past define you, use it as evidence of your strength and ability to overcome adversity. You've made it through difficult times before, and you can continue to do so. Example: Mary, a woman in her late 60s, struggled with anger toward herself for mistakes made earlier in life. She viewed them as irreversible regrets. But one day, she realized those mistakes had shaped her into the compassionate, wise woman she was today. Instead of holding on to guilt, she started seeing her past as part of her journey, a stepping stone to personal growth and wisdom. She no longer carried the weight of those old decisions. Instead, she carried the wisdom they had given her. Forgive yourself. This is often the hardest part, forgiving yourself. Too often, we are our own worst critics. We hold ourselves accountable for things we wish we had done differently, replaying failures in our minds. But here's an important truth. You did the best you could with what you knew at the time. It's time to let go of self-blame and embrace compassion for yourself. Just as you would forgive someone else for their mistakes, give yourself the same grace. Example: Tom, in his 70s, had always been hard on himself for not spending more time with his children when they were young. As his children grew older, Tom felt the weight of that regret deeply. But after reflecting on his efforts and the love he always gave them, he realized he had done the best he could at the time. Tom forgave himself and, in doing so, opened up a new chapter in his relationship with his children. His ability to move past self-resentment allowed him to enjoy the moments they shared together now, without the shadow of guilt hanging over them. The gift of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And it's not always easy, but the reward is immeasurable. When you forgive, you're choosing yourself. You're choosing peace over anger, freedom over bitterness. Resentment keeps you trapped in the past, while forgiveness frees you to experience the present. It's a powerful, life-changing decision that can lead to emotional healing, better physical health, and a renewed sense of joy. Forgiveness doesn't just liberate the other person, it's an act of self-love. The moment you decide to let go of resentment, you step into a life where peace is possible, and where you're no longer held hostage by the past. The healing begins when you choose to free yourself from the shackles of anger, and you allow your heart to live in a place of serenity and love. As you move forward in life, shedding old habits and emotional burdens creates the space necessary for lasting peace, joy, and fulfillment. When you begin to release the weight of regret, toxic relationships, and resentment, you unlock the potential of the present moment, which is the only one that truly belongs to you. It's easy to let the past define you, but letting go allows you to embrace a fresh perspective, one that empowers you to live fully in the now. The process of change might be gradual, but with patience and self-compassion, you will find a greater sense of clarity and contentment as you embrace the wisdom of your later years. The power of letting go. Letting go isn't just a single act, it's an ongoing practice that transforms how you approach every day. It's about intentionally making space for what truly matters, your health, your relationships, and your personal growth. These elements don't just improve your well-being, they enrich the very essence of life itself. Example, consider Barbara, a woman in her 60s, who spent years holding on to anger and disappointment over a failed business venture. At first, it felt like a weight that couldn't be lifted, until she realized that holding on to the pain from that chapter was keeping her from enjoying her newfound freedom. By forgiving herself and letting go of her regret, Barbara made room for new passions. She enrolled in a painting class, formed meaningful connections, and rediscovered the joy she thought she'd lost. Her story is a reminder that you are not your past, but the way you choose to live today. The journey of releasing toxic relationships. As you age, relationships evolve, and so does your understanding of them. Some connections, no matter how long they've lasted, become draining or even harmful. Acknowledging this and choosing to step back from those relationships might be one of the most freeing decisions you can make. It's about honoring your worth and giving priority to those who bring positivity into your life. Example, James, now in his 70s, had a friendship that had become emotionally exhausting over the years. He had long held on to this relationship out of loyalty, but the emotional toll was becoming unbearable. After months of reflection, James decided to put boundaries in place. This wasn't about cutting someone off. It was about creating space for relationships that offered mutual respect and support. By doing so, James experienced an incredible shift. He felt lighter, more vibrant, and more connected to the people who truly valued him. The healing power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about condoning bad behavior, it's about reclaiming your peace and health. Letting go of resentment, whether toward others or yourself, frees you from the heavy burden of anger and regret. In doing so, you create the mental and emotional space to experience life without the chains of the past holding you back. Example, Marissa, who had been estranged from her daughter for several years, found herself locked in the bitterness of unmet expectations and unresolved conflict. It wasn't until Marissa realized that holding on to that anger was eroding her health and joy that she made the decision to let go. She reached out, not expecting immediate reconciliation, but as a step toward healing her own heart. Though the road was long, that first act of forgiveness was liberating. The emotional burden began to lift, and with it came an unexpected peace. Sometimes, the first step in forgiving others is forgiving yourself. And the act of doing so opens the door to new possibilities. The freedom in letting go. Letting go of past regrets, unhealthy relationships, and lingering resentment creates a pathway to emotional freedom. It allows you to focus on the present, where you have the power to shape your life in a way that aligns with your values and desires. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's about choosing not to let the past dominate your present. As you enter the golden years of your life, this is a time to focus on what truly brings you joy, fulfillment, and peace. When you embrace the act of letting go, you create a ripple effect that not only improves your life but also enhances your relationships with others. You attract the energy and people who resonate with your newfound peace. As you choose to live fully in the present, you experience the richness of life's possibilities, joy, fulfillment, and genuine connections, just waiting for you to step into them.